TCR Spain pre-season event as well. Of course, we're very excited, as Izzy alluded to see the first round of the TCR Spain Championship on the conclusion of the Winter Series for 2025, which is the 6-hour Barcelona. They've already given us one very interesting sneak preview. That was maybe the 30-second version of the trailer. Let's see what the theatrical version brings us then. The second and final race. It's Sunday. That's always the traditional race day, and we should have a good one. It looks as though maybe there was a bit of an issue further back for one of the drivers. There was briefly a yellow flag flown as the race got started there. Fernandez, though, got an amazing start. I thought he might have even gone a little bit early, but that's just my eye, and my eye can be deceiving. The fact of the matter is, though, that Felipe Fernandez leads the race through the first couple of corners. Here comes Ruben Bolt, though, looking to the inside at turn 2. Third position then is Steve Laidlaw, again the fastest starter of the two Laidlaws. I think it was Sam Laidlaw that maybe briefly had the marshal that he needed to get the yellow flag out. He didn't seem to get the best of starts from the outside of the second row, so Savile Deli has got past him for fourth position. The Hyundai getting a bit out of sorts as well for RX Pro Racing's Podium Pedraza, but at the front it is a Honda 1-2. However, for the first time this weekend, it's not Ruben Bolt leading the charge.
Felipe Fernandez, though, I think struggling to get the tyres up to temperature. Ruben Bolt, two wheels on the grass, dives to the inside line into turn number 8, but Fernandez wants to close the door, hangs tough around the outside. That will give him the inside line for the next meaningful set of corners. The two right-handers coming up next, and he should be able to defend the position. Out wide on the curb goes Ruben Bolt, and Fernandez now stays in front. The car hopping and bouncing over the curb on the inside, though, and that means he's a little bit wide on the exit again. Bolt to the inside into turn 12. Difficult to go wheel to wheel through here. They're going to manage it, are they? Yes, just about. And still there side by side. Terrific racing. Proper touring car stuff. Fernandez does not want to relinquish the lead, but Ruben Bolt is late on the brakes to the outside into the last turn. No, still can't do it. And I think by the skin of his teeth, Adam, Felipe Fernandez will lead at the end of lap 1.
Very nicely done there at turn 14. Managed to carry some good speed at the apex, even though he couldn't go all the way to the outside of the corner. He now is going to have to go to the inside of the corner, I suspect, to defend from Ruben Bolt. No, Bolt doesn't want to compromise his run into turn 1 with a lunge or an attempted lunge. Fernandez then leads the race from Ruben Bolt. Steve Laidlaw in third place from Savile Deli, from Sam Laidlaw, from Sandro Pilati in 6th position, and it is Adrian Agote who leads among the Cup Class Elder Generation TCR runners. Felipe Fernandez throwing up a smoke screen as he goes down through the gears. These two cars should of course be identical FL5 latest specification. Honda Civic TCR machinery developed by the Italian Jazz Motorsports organisation, of course, who have been building Honda touring cars now for in excess of 2 decades. Look at this once again. Bolt getting a good run out of turn 6. He's not able to get to the inside this time at turn 8. I'm getting a little bit concerned though with the amount of smoke and steam being belched up from the rear of the 19 car. Ruben Bolt has found the inside line. I wasn't quite sure that was going to happen at turn 11, but sure enough, through has gone Bolt. That looked almost a little bit too easy.
Yeah, he was just so much more confident under braking, I think, and in the rear of the car. So turns 9 and 10, he was able to flick it through the change of direction better than Fernandez, and that gave him the prime position into the braking zone at 11. So Ruben Bolt through, he survived the next couple of corners without having to defend, and so should now fancy his chances of stretching this lead. We'll see whether Fernandez has an answer for him. I'm a little bit concerned about the amount of smoke coming from the back of that car in the braking. Also, I would be concerned if I were Felipe Fernandez, and the message that we just saw on our timing half a lap ago, start under investigation. I agree with you. He certainly got off the line very, very quickly, and I wonder whether maybe his rapid start caught the attention of race control as well.
The reason I'm worried about the smoke on Fernandez, it does seem to correlate with where I expect downshifts to be happening. That's my concern there. Again, you just saw it going into turn 4 there for Felipe Fernandez. It's just as we saw yesterday when the rear tyre starts to under-rotate under braking. That's fine. Looks dramatic. It's fine. I'm not so sure about that with for Fernandez at the moment. Here's the battle for third place, though. Steve Laidlaw once again finds himself in P3 in the early stages, and once again he's got Savile Deli and indeed his son Sam to consider in his rear view mirror. Sandro Pilati not quite on the back of the queue, but Pilati and Fernandez should have the pace to potentially get involved as well. Certainly they will if things start to get a bit racy between the Area Motorsport drivers and the Clarence Sport Audi rs3 TCR. For now though, it is line astern between them. Steve Laidlaw said on the grid to Izzy that he had some balance issues in the car yesterday. We definitely saw visualisations of that to both the understeer and oversteer extent. But based on the team's experience, and I think based on the tone of voice in which Steve was talking about it, I got the feeling it was a thing of the past.
Yes, certainly driving with some confidence at the moment. The car looks a lot happier now than it did really at any point in yesterday's race. We'll see though whether that continues into the second half of it, because that's when things started to go awry a little bit in race number 1. If ever you are interested to learn about the intricacies of the design of the rear of one of these new Coopers, just ask Guillaume Savoldelli, because he spent most of his weekend staring at the back of one, specifically Stephen Laidlaw's example. Here, meanwhile, is one of the Coopers attempting to move forward past its older brother, really, the Gen 1 Cooper there, the DSG gearbox car, with one of the latest specification machines right behind. That is Shalin, isn't it, in 11th place, trying to get past Miguel Romero, to no avail just now, as we do unfortunately get news of a drive-through penalty for Felipe Fernandez. Not a huge shock that, Adam, and it wasn't even a jump start.
Yes, it had all of the machinations and vibes of one. I didn't want to declare it too soon, but should that car be healthy, that's going to be very entertaining for us. Here comes Samuel Shalin again to the inside of Romero. These guys are the two at the rear of the field. Unfortunately, Alexander Bobrov's in the Peugeot 308 did not get started, just the one 308 out there. Samuel Shalin does get past Miguel Romero then. Romero second in class, and just a couple of seconds up the road there you can see Adriano Gotte leading in the Cup class in the Peugeot 308. So Romero, I think, will now be hoping that Shalin maybe keeps the Peugeot busy for a lap or so, and he can take an opportunity to try and challenge for that Cup class win. Going past the pit lane at the moment, and not coming in for the drive-through just yet, is Felipe Fernandez. I suspect that he will drop down, if not to the rear, to somewhere like 8th or 9th on the field. So he's going to have to do some overtaking from the point of serving the drive-through onwards. But Ruben Volt, though, once again, his primary competition seems to be about to fall by the wayside. Yeah, very similar to yesterday, different circumstances of course, but it will also therefore promote this three-way battle, which is over to the third place, into being the fight for second position. Steve Laidlaw, Guillaume Savoldelli and Sam Laidlaw. And Savoldelli's Audi, the meat in the Laidlaw sandwich, is not all over the back of Stephen Laidlaw at the moment, in fairness. And Sam Laidlaw definitely looks quicker than he did yesterday. He sort of faded a little bit midway through the race yesterday, certainly away from Ruben Volt and Felipe Fernandez out the front. He's keeping pace with these two. Was ahead of much of yesterday's race, so a different dynamic in the fight for the lowest step of the podium. Laidlaw getting that excellent start has mixed things up ever so slightly. Actually, I'd say Sam Laidlaw the bigger threat to Savoldelli now than Savoldelli is to Stephen ahead. Yeah, very different resumes for Savoldelli and Laidlaw. I think Savoldelli has somewhere in the region of 20 years on the younger of the Laidlaws, so the experience factor should fall in Savoldelli's favour. Let's see if he's got some wily defensive tactics to deploy. Ditto, Adriano Gotte. Will he want to fight so hard with Samuel Shalin is of course the big question. Unfortunately, to an extent, he kind of has to fight with him because he hasn't got the gap to Romero, his Cup class rival, to simply lift off the throttle and let the Cupra go by. If he does that, he's at risk of coming under fire from Romero, and Romero being an ambitious young teenage upstart, he will take the opportunity if it is presented to him. So then, battle for 9th place, featuring our Cup class with the latest generation Cupra from Clarence Sport between them. A little bit of a straight line speed advantage by the looks of it. Samuel Shalin makes it look easy in the VZ Cupra Leon, and he comes out right behind Felipe Fernandez, who's just served his drive-through and then gone out very, very wide indeed at the first corner. Fernandez will have lost minimal brake brake temp, tyre temp, drifting through the pit lane. And Ogote isn't done with Samuel Chalid. This is very interesting stuff between the three, now four of them. And as predicted, Miguel Romero is now right on the back of Adrian Ogote. He might regret trying to get those extra nibbles in on Samuel Chalid, because now he's in a bit of a dangerous position for his cup class lead.
Not sure he even intended really to come back at Chalid. Chalid was just so much slower off turn 2 that really Adrian didn't have much option. But now things settling down a little bit, and he can focus on his primary concern, which is keeping yesterday's cup class winner behind him. Remember, Miguel Romero was the cup winner in race 1, and actually Adrian Ogote at flat was some 14-15 seconds behind him, so already a very different look to race 2 in the cup category. But Miguel Romero would very much like to recreate yesterday's result. He has a little look at the inside, or maybe got into the back of the Peugeot. Certainly Ogote was sideways at the apex. Romero, in fairness, bailed out of that. I wonder whether there was a bit of paint traded, and he wanted to make sure that he didn't gain the position unfairly. Either way, settles back in line behind the Peugeot, looks quicker than the Peugeot at this stage of the race, being quicker and getting ahead of somebody are two very different things.
Yes, they are. It's strikingly handsome to me, that generation of 308 Racing Cup. Very well prepared car from the RT team. Currently, Adrian Ogote is using it to the fullest extent to retain this cup class lead. Samuel Chalid trying to give chase to Felipe Fernandez as well, but based on what we've seen this weekend, I suspect Fernandez should have the pace edge. Romero there getting loose at the apex on turn in the rear end. Wasn't quite willing to grip up as much as he intended or expected, but Ogote goes deep into turn 2. Maybe looked at his mirrors, gone, what happened? But then he's had a moment all of his own, and ahead of them, Felipe Fernandez now facing the wrong way. RX Pro Racing in the Hyundai. So yellow flags may have just saved Ogote a little bit there, because Romero was on his pace. They'll now be back into a green flag section of the circuit, but this is a brilliant duel between Ogote and Romero.
You called that absolutely right. The yellow flags, I think, did save Ogote, because Romero was building a challenge and I think had an overlap heading into turn 4, where of course it was greeted by a yellow flag zone. So for now, the Peugeot stays ahead. Ogote again though snatching a break as they drop downhill into turn number 8. The Peugeot really want to turn into turn 2, and it looked like maybe there was a debate going on between driver and machine into turn 8 as well. So Adrian Ogote is on the limit here to try and keep Miguel Romero at bay. Fantastic battle here in the cup category. There may only be 2 of them in this race now, but my word, they're evenly matched. They're putting on quite the show through the right-hander at turn 12 down towards the final corner. They will head. This is a potential overtaking opportunity if you're close enough. Romero certainly thinks about the inside line, then decides that he is maybe a length or so too far back to commit to that one. Focuses instead on getting a good exit from the final corner. Tucks in the slipstream, an incredibly long run down towards turn number 1. There's maybe 2 car lengths between them at the line. Is that 2 car lengths going to disappear by the time they reach turn 1? Almost, thinks Miguel Romero, but you don't do enough braking really into turn 1 to make that an obvious overtaking opportunity. Turn 2 is a better one, but is he close enough?
This time it looks like Ogote has got the braking right. Yes, very well executed turn 2 that time. The driver of the 110. We are getting a few track limits warnings, a couple of second track limits warnings flashed up on our timing screen, but no penalties, no additional time as of yet for Ruben Volt. He is 12.9 seconds clear at the front of the order, something Adrian Ogote in the cup class could only dream of. I suspect one of the reasons that they're fighting so hard and having such a good time out there is because shy of a major incident between the two of them, the worst they can do is second in class on this situation, so they can have their fun and not have too many consequences all the same. Meanwhile, going through the final corner at the moment, we have the battle between Laidlaw Jr. and Savoldelli. But Samuel Chalid has had a spin at turn 11, so he once again now will have to get himself back through the cup class battle. This is getting very interesting at the rear of the field, isn't it? Chalid is going to have to do it all again. Pedraza might also catch them before the end of the race as well in the Hyundai. It's all going on at the rear, much to the cost perhaps of the TV time that Area Motorsport got yesterday, along with Savoldelli. But this is a very exciting battle in Cup. We've got a great battle going on as well for third place, just behind this man, Steve Laidlaw. And indeed, Sam Laidlaw is the closest that he's been over the last several laps now to the rear of Savoldelli. And let's see what Sam can do. Sam is certainly a driver with a good level of experience for his age, and we know what he can do at the wheel of this thing.
Yeah, and he is keen to demonstrate that again as he closes in on Guillaume Savoldelli. He finished comfortably ahead of yesterday, but has a bit more overtaking to do in race number 2. Savoldelli is wide at 8, and is that going to lead to a positional change on the exit? The answer I can tell you out the window is no. Again, you don't really know which battle to follow, do you? Because still the Cup class scrap is raging on. Adrian Agote and Miguel Romero nose to tail. Notification of a penalty meanwhile for, I'm afraid, Sandro Pilati in the number 72 Honda. Track limits claiming its first victim, and we still have nearly 10 minutes plus a lap to go. Class battle drops into turn 8. Agote not for the first time, has to go defensive on the way into the left-hander, takes the class lead on the exit.
Absolutely right, yes. So those two continue to fight. Incidentally, the track limits rules are slightly different in this series. So for Pilati, it's only a 1 second penalty initially, but that is going to keep on rising. So we continue to watch this battle between Agote and Romero. Shalin and Pedraza are behind. Savoldelli and Laidlaw came across the line third and fourth, about a half second apart last time by. So that overall podium battle is a little bit calmer than it was a lap ago, at least for the time being, as Miguel Romero continues to state his intentions at basically every apex. To your point, Andy, about turn 1, I think looking and speculating to the inside of the first corner is maybe not the most productive way here for Romero.
No, I tend to agree with you, although he clearly doesn't, because he's doing it again into turn number 1. But yeah, you can see on the exit now, the wider entry for Agote means he's quicker off the corner, and then crucially doesn't have to defend into turn 2, which is the real overtaking opportunity in the first part of the lap. So Miguel Romero maybe needs to rethink that one slightly if he's going to go through, especially because I'm pretty sure I just saw he's been handed a penalty now. 63, Miguel Romero 4 seconds worth of track limit penalties, 1 second to 72, which is Sandro Pilati. We've already covered that one, but Miguel Romero not only has he been using some interesting lines to try and find a way past Adrian Agote, but some of those lines, I'm afraid, have caught the attention of the stewards for the wrong reasons, and he's being applied.
So Sam Laidlaw still on the case here to try and join his dad on the podium for the second day in a row here at the circuit. Ricardo Tormo, Savoldelli there again with that characteristic Audi wheel hop and smoke screen going into turn 14. We see Steve Laidlaw cross the line there in second place now, some 17 seconds behind Ruben Bolt, who is just managing and mastering the circuit. Ricardo Tormo today. Savoldelli in third position, again about half a second, 6/10 clear of Sam Laidlaw this time by. Felipe Fernandez, who of course served a penalty earlier on, is up in 7th place now, but he's still some 12 seconds off his closest competition, so I'm not sure we are going to see much overtaking from him before the flag flies. Agote, Romero, they're still close together, but of course, as we said, Romero has a penalty. No such issues for Laidlaw or Savoldelli just yet, and Sam Laidlaw looking racy. And of course, we've already seen Savoldelli drift a little bit wide at turn 8 once, which means that that will be in the back of Sam's mind for the rest of the race every time they approach to this corner, just keeping an eye on the apex and whether the Audi drifts wide or not.
Well, that time it was Sam Laidlaw who ran a little bit wide. He really attacked the sort of early apex there, which works if the car sticks, and it didn't quite stick as they dropped downhill, so he drifted a bit wide and just lost maybe a length or so. In fairness to him, he's got that length and more back through the next few corners, though. He is right behind Guillaume Savoldelli now as they head for turn 12. Savoldelli down the sideways on the way in. It's strangely the Audi that is losing rear traction in this race, not the Cupras, and that again will mean that Sam Laidlaw sends his blood in the water. He pulls to the outside into the final corner, not trying to go right round the outside, but instead focusing on the late apex, the good drive off the turn, and then maybe trying to set up a move through the first part of the next lap. Across the line they go, about as close as ever they've been. The lights are flashed by Sam Laidlaw in 4th position. As we now is handed a penalty. That is Victor Fernandez, 1 second added to his race time for track limits. Savoldelli, by the way, on his last warning as well, I think, for track limits. Another bit of pressure now on the shoulders of the man defending third position. So far, though, he's defending it successfully. Again, actually, Sam Laidlaw, the one who ran a bit wide at turn 2, and so the pressure just eases, perhaps for a fraction of a second.
Yeah, so this battle continuing on. Occasionally looks like Savoldelli is on the verge of leaving a beckoning opportunity for Sam Laidlaw, and then Laidlaw drops back a little bit himself. It's a bit of an ebb and flow of this one, to my eye. But for now, Savoldelli with a car length or 2 in arrears. Meanwhile, Romero is still in the back of Agorte for that cup class lead, and Samuel Chalin has caught up to them again. So Chalin, for the second time, is approaching the rear of the slightly elder TCR spec Cupra, the DSG gearbox version of the car, and he's going to be, I think, more than a little bit frustrated at the helm.
Yes, I'm not convinced that Miguel Romero will be all that thrilled to see him again, to be honest, because he's really much more interested in finding a way past the Peugeot ahead of him, which so far he has not been able to do. And of course, he now really needs to get on with it, because he's then got a 4-second lead, 1-second lead, I suppose, technically, ahead of Agurte in order to actually claim the class victory. He's quick enough to do it if only he would find a way through. 4.25 minutes plus a lap to go. Back across the line, meanwhile, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th place cars all still in one shot. This group of cars on the whole today, Adam, much closer than they were yesterday. So I'm sure lots of setting tweaks were made overnight, and it seems to have tightened the pack up nicely.
And tightening the pack, tightening your setup is all a part of exactly why the drivers are here. Of course, we are going to be racing here in TCR Spain in June. So for the teams that are going to be full season in TCR Spain, being here makes a lot of sense. But even for Area Motorsport, who I don't believe are planning a TCR Spain main season assault, coming in, getting some racing in February, going into their TCR UK campaign makes an awful lot of sense. There's Sandro Pilati, who I think has been marginally gaining on these two, as Sam Laidlaw is maybe starting to get a little bit impatient. He is starting to get a little bit busy on the flashlight on his car. No change in order among those 3 fighting a little bit further back for Sam Laidlaw, though he's running out of time to change the order in a way that would allow him onto the podium.
You're right about Pilati. His previous lap was his personal best, which this deep into the race is pretty impressive. Savoldelli wide out of 11, just had to move to the inside to cover briefly towards 12. Sam Laidlaw is frustratingly close now to the back of the Audi, still unable to breach its defences. Drop down through that final corner, but yeah, Pilati becoming ever more present a threat in their mirrors because of that personal best lap. To put that into context, everyone else in that lead group running at least half a second slower than their PB last time around, some of them close to a second. So on a track that is abrasive, that does chew those front tyres up so much, that is an impressive late race pace from the 5th place man.
Yes, it is. Maybe just keeping a little bit of Kumo in arrears for the end of the race. Now 4 seconds worth of penalties as well for Victor Fernandez. He's almost 10 seconds clear of Felipe, so it shouldn't be an issue. Sam Laidlaw having a little look to the inside of Savoldelli there as they go through turn 2, then turn 3. Sam Laidlaw getting extremely feisty, and now as these two are really dicing, Pilati is going to be getting involved very shortly too. Sam Laidlaw hasn't found a way by 2, 3, 4 or 5. What about turn 6? He's a jink the inside. Savoldelli has it sussed, has it covered. Sam Laidlaw tries to get a good run out of the corner, but I don't think he's really achieved it. And here comes Sandro Pilati for the RC2 team. It's 3 manufacturers, 3 drivers, 3 flags on the doors as we see this race starting to unfold. We're just a couple of laps from home, and there's at least 3 ways that the overall 3rd place can go.
Oh, they lost so much time though through that first sector, and Sandro Pilati is suddenly right with them, as you said. So a 3-way fight for the lower steps of the podium, or lower step of the podium. Which way will it go? Audi, Cupra or Honda? Turn 12 again, Guillaume Savoldelli just sort of moves to the middle of the road on the way in, then drifts over to the racing line as they turn into the high-speed right-hander uphill. and on the exit of which it is still Audi in front. Sam Laidlaw, though, now of course has to be careful. If he goes for the move and it doesn't work, it's very likely going to cost him 4th position, which he will not want to do. So might this just let Savoldelli off the hook a little bit?
We continue to watch this battle, of course. It is very intense for the overall podium. Just to update you on the Cup class battle, Shalene has gotten back through them again. Romero is on the back of Agote once more. However, of course, Romero does have that penalty to consider. No penalties to consider for these three at the moment. Savoldelli, though, definitely having to consider the movements of Sam Laidlaw. He will be, I think, somewhat relieved that Laidlaw isn't quite as close through the first sector on this occasion.
Yeah, indeed so. Laidlaw takes a wide line through right-hander there at turn 5. Meanwhile, Cup leaders, I think, are almost side by side. They are side by side coming out of the final corner. We need a split screen, really, to follow all of the action. Third place battle heads towards the middle of the penultimate lap of the race. This, though, is the Cup class lead battle in inverted commas. Remember, even if Romero goes through here, which I think he may do on the inside at turn 1, well, no, Adrian Agote standing his ground, in fairness. But remember, Romero has a 4-second penalty to be added onto his race time as well. He wants the track position, though, first. He gets the inside line into turn 2. And finally, has he made this move stick? I think so. By the time they get to turn 3, Adrian Agote has to let Romero go. And of course, now they've got behind them Pedraza in the recovering kidney, which going to spin at this part of the circuit earlier on in the race. That could provide further complications in that Cup class battle. The final lap, though, has begun with Ruben Bolt. Really has missed out on all the fun in this race, hasn't he?
Yes, well, I do recommend that he watches it back in the hotel or on the plane back this evening. Ruben Bolt leading the way comfortably. Second place comfortably as well for Steve Laidlaw, some 23 seconds further back. The question marks are third place for Savoldelli, with Sam Laidlaw and Sandro Pilati just behind him. And then as well for Romero and Agote. Incidentally, the Cup class battle now on an even keel because Agote just got a 1-second penalty as well. So that's going to be interesting. And of course, Agote now has Pedraza to deal with. But on this last lap, of course, we can circle back to them after we see this overall podium come across the line. But who's going to be in third? It might be Sam Laidlaw. Savoldelli wide at 4, at 5. Sam just finds the apex beckoning, not an Audi in sight, and Laidlaw is through into third position. Let's see if Savoldelli can try and mount a challenge. Let's see if maybe Pilati can pick up some pieces.
Oh, after all that brilliant defensive driving from Savoldelli, one little mistake on the final lap of the race looks like it's going to cost him that position. That's a bit of a shame for him, but Sam Laidlaw only too happy to pick up the pieces. Ruben Bolt, meanwhile, drops down through the final corner. The checkered flag beckons for the second time this weekend.
Ruben Bolt already celebrating as he goes past the pit entrance, flashing the headlights for ALM and for Ruben Bolt. It is a sweep of the TCR Spain pre-season event for 2025. Steve Laidlaw will be next across the line, and he will be joined after that move on the very last lap by Sam Laidlaw. Laidlaw is safe. Laidlaw Jr. is safe in third place. Savoldelli, though, isn't safe in fourth place. Here comes Pilati. I don't think Pilati's got quite a good enough run. It's going to be an Area Motorsport 2-3 for Steve Laidlaw and Sam Laidlaw. Savoldelli comes home fourth. 5th place for Pilati, 6th place for Victor Fernandez, 7th place for Felipe.